Go. Go. Welcome to another Dead by Daylight review. Today, we are actually going to be basically catching up. Excuse me. We'll name this one 23, 22. Catching up. Unless something really blows me away. One thing that I would like to bring attention to before we start is somebody keeps adamantly, and when I say adamantly, I mean adamantly, telling me back to back to back to back, you can't be such a hard ass blink 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 because you're never gonna view or grow your community and you're never gonna become a successful YouTuber or anything like this doing that. I'm gonna reply to you right now and let you know that if you look at any of my prior videos, especially when I was starting up, or anything on my channel from the time I started to now, my particular channel is my personal archive. And I archive everything that I do, at least, fun-wise, or video game-wise in this case, into this archive. So as I get older, I can look back into the past and see how I was back then, the things that I was doing, things like that. That is all my channel is. Like I said, if you enjoy and want to go along this type of adventure with me, then by all means, you are welcome. Everybody, for the most part, is welcome to go along this journey with me. But my channel and me, I have no intentions of making it big. The primary goal of the alternative killers thing is to get Dead by Daylight to add in another way for people to make custom killers or give them custom ideas and for them to implement it into their game so we can try out all of these ideas and things to see if they'll actually work or not. Whether they're local side, online side, in a pack that you have to buy, etc., doesn't matter. The whole point is to push the creators' ideas from this Dead by Daylight thing and to try to implement a system to get them either tools to where we can create our own and implement them into the game ourselves through the Dead by Daylight game, or a way for behavior to just implement them in, and try different powers, things like that, and etc. I could care less if you have to have the trapper as a base, killer skeleton, and like trapper or pig or something like that for, the tall and mediums and everything like that. And you have to use their skin, but you have, different powers that goes along with them. That's a start. That is the whole purpose of the alternative killer reviews, which is the main thing that I push out. The side thing is just reviewing everybody else's creations to see if they are, for the most part, balanced. I do oftentimes, at least nowadays, give, more of my personal opinions on top of whether or not it's balanced or not. But at the end of the day, I generally try to say whether or not it's balanced per game wise, and then I try to say something personal, which I generally have a disclaimer of, well, I personally think, or something like that, away from the actual, is it balanced for the game, or whether I personally like it or not. Two separate categories. So for all of you that are worried about my channel and all of that, and whether it's going to succeed or fail, it was never made to succeed. I have goals that I have set out for my channel. And I, for the most part, have already hit every single goal. Besides the alternative killers, which I mean, they are working on another game and things like that after they finish whatever game they're working on and start getting that out and running, and they have the extra time to implement new systems for Dead by Daylight if they elect to. That's when, that door will open up. Until then, all we can do is keep sending out ideas and all that, and maybe they'll adapt some of our ideas and push them into, a main killer or something like that. But no, I've never had any need or any want to become, a high-end YouTuber and have this channel of, hundreds to millions of thousands of people and all of these other things. Doesn't apply to me. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to have to do all of these things. I don't want to have to not worry about, DDoSing myself or when I go out in the public being noticed by a lot of people. It's an inconvenience to me. If I can't go from A to B without somebody coming up and saying something to me, it's not a good day for me. I rarely leave the house, as is, especially now with the COVID and the cold outside and things like that. I rarely leave the house nowadays, as is, and when I go out, I don't want to run into thousands of other people. As a matter of fact, I think I got something to do on Tuesday. Tuesday, they probably won't be anything because I have a very busy day where I actually have to go out and do crap all day Tuesday. So I won't be here Tuesday at all until like late, late, late. Unless something gets canceled or something happens because I mean, it's going to be cold out as usual. I don't know. I'm not driving. I was actually, think about it, I was supposed to be hanging out with a friend this week. I forgot about it. I got busy and didn't think about it. That's my fault, dude. Oh. But yeah, as things sit, don't think that I have an underlying goal or anything of trying to necessarily become popular and a big YouTuber and get all the fans and all of that. I don't have any need for that. So that is my answer to your, I guess, worry to the situation. All I can say is don't worry about it. I got myself handled, I'm good. If I ever actually now, even in then, I would just go work with a friend or something like that that owns a business. So yeah, I'm all my bases are covered. I do what I do for fun. I don't do this for recognition. I don't do this for any type of, advantages or any type of monetary gain or any of that because, well, I have a job that's essentially the same thing that pays a lot more. This is just something I do on the extra time, to kind of keep my skills up to date. So, like I said, this is free content. Anybody that wants it or likes it, take it. If you don't like it, then I'd appreciate you move on silently so I don't have to deal with it. Am I a jerk for saying that? Yes, but days and days and days on, every time I open up an inbox or open up something else new that I haven't checked in a while, just, oh, well, maybe if I got a new message or something, or I don't want to leave anybody out. And I open it, and first message I see is my concerns about your failing channel. It's like the channel isn't failing because the channel isn't made to succeed. It's an archive of my past experiences. What do you mean, failing? It's doing what it wants to do. Now, if YouTube ever shuts down, then, shit's gonna suck because I don't have a hard drive big enough to download all of those videos onto. I have done that in the past, though. I do have it set up to where I can get the stuff sent to me and download all of my videos if need be, but I don't have hard drives big enough now. It's a lot of video content. Either way, let's hop in this. This is brought back from the dead. Whole cosmetic like usual. I have a great idea for a survivor perk. You are the poster and the last person to post on it, so I will see what else you had to say. Oh no, this is the meme one. I'll see. I gotta stop doing that. If I do that, it gets rid of the notification. New killer. It's either Tommy, Tommy, or Tumi. I don't know. People can't really spell that good nowadays. So we won't find out. Told Okay. Tomi? So it's Tomi. Or Tom. No, it's not Tomai. It's Tomi. I have an idea for a monster character. I'm a fan of Junji Ito. A master of Japanese horror manga. One of my favorite characters is called Tomi, an evil girl who possesses a strong beauty. She attracts men, manipulates, and ranges under her command. However, men love it so much that they want to kill it and then cut it into pieces. But no one can kill it because she regenerates and clones herself on each of those cut body pieces. The idea I had in mind on Tomi is perhaps special, like my reading skills right now. And the main attack is either a claw shot or a stab. The number of shots it takes to put the survivor to the ground will depend on the game. Question mark. If the game contains only female survivors, Tomi can have them in 2 shots. There are actually no male and female characters listed in Dead by Daylight. I mean, you have the bio and everything like that, but they're not specifically set to male and female. A lot of games that have male and female do have the code and all of that set male and female, but Dead by Daylight does not. Granted, I haven't looked at the code in quite some time. This could be changed, but back in the day, where it was readily accessible, they actually did not code anything towards male and female. It was just survivors. Well, I mean, it was more than survivor, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so if they've coded it male and female, then this would work. If not, I mean, it's not too big of a deal to add a subcategory to every character. It's gonna break some shit until they, get it all flushed out and all of that, but it shouldn't be that long. It shouldn't take that long to add in male and female subtext. As far as I know, there are no transsexuals or anything like that in Dead by Daylight, so it's just male and then female. As of now. Subject to change. Anyway, if the game contains only female survivors, Tomi can have them in 2 shots. And more she succeeds in her shots, more the faster she is. The game contains boys. 2 girls, 2 boys, for example. Tomi's gameplay changes completely. For the main attack, the girls are on the ground after 2 shots and the boys need 3. When a boy falls to the ground, Tomy enchants the boy, forcing him to give her the exact position of the girls for 10 seconds. And more. The player who plays the boy will no longer have control of his character. The boy will be influenced by Tomy and he will hunt down the nearest girl to put her on the ground. Will the same duration as the position of the girls be revealed to the killer? After 10 seconds, the player will regain control of his character. If the Tomy player has the skill to kill the survivors, the animation will show the cannibal side. Yeah, okay. Obvious issues. To completely relinquish control of a particular survivor is against the core aspects of Dead by Daylight. It hasn't been implemented into the game yet. There hasn't even been anything to implement into the game that just force you run in one particular direction. Which, I actually have something sort of like that as part of my killer dossier that I was been tossing around. I decided to trash that. Essentially, when my killer hits you, it was going to force you to get a speed boost, but it was going to make you take a speed boost in a straightforward direction for a couple of seconds. You'd have no control over your character or anything like that, so if you have a timed hit at the right amount of time, you could force somebody to run past the kill shack or miss their turn that they're going to use in a loop. They get a little speed boost away from you, yes, but you can stop them from, you know, dropping god pallets or something like that in exchange for giving them a very minor speed boost. I thought about it, thought of a way to implement it, and there's really no good way to implement it because anytime you are taking controls from Survivor, it's not a good idea. Like, for example, during the Dead Hard Dash, if you've ever dead hearted past wherever you're trying to go into, that frustration, almost embarrassment, and anger that you feel from that. Now imagine not being able to control your character and feeling that frustration for 10 seconds while you're forced to walk towards another survivor and you can't do anything about it. You can't wiggle, you can't get great skill checks to break out of it earlier or anything like that. As well as you're just explaining a scenario, you're not explaining any type of implementation for this scenario, which is what I hate the most about people that have ideas. It's just, this is why I always ask for you to clearly explain, implement, give me the seconds, the speeds, everything else, so you can see how hard it is to take your idea and bring it into a reality. There's a reason why I ask for so much detail, because when you're just talking about how things can do this, that, and another, it's a lot easier to just let your imagination go out of control and go beyond the limits of the actual game engine. But when I force you to slow down and try to implement it on your own, and you understand how hard it is to implement it while using the same core mechanics and the engine that it's running on, then things come back down to earth. There's a reason why I ask people to go back and explain things, because like this, you have a whole lot of things going on, but if I told you to go back in and explain all of that in detail, how that be implemented into the game, you'd be like, and it's like, yes, exactly. You didn't think that far through. You just thought about what you wanted your killer to do, but not how to implement them. As you implement your killer into the base game, things are going to change. Things that you thought were possible and how they seem good in your head's not gonna completely fit together. Like puzzles in a puzzle piece, you'll have to change some things here and there. The reason why I ask people to do what I ask them to do. There's a reason behind most of the things that I do, because I've thought through, what's the easiest way to let somebody know that, their imagination's rampant without saying it to them. Easiest way is have them bring that imagination into an actual idea. If you don't have the skill to make that idea an imagination, then you're going to have to settle for something less till you learn how to, get your actual skills up to the level of your imagination. If that makes sense. Now, changing up your particular character versus whether or not you have male or female characters in the game isn't going to be a good idea. Especially when you make it to where female characters go down in 2 shots, like normal, and then males go down in 3. However, as soon as the male goes down, he gets enchanted and then walks for 10 seconds towards a female survivor. So, what you're saying is, by how your imagination is leading me, if anybody's a male in this particular lobby and there's another female, you can't get hooks on them because as soon as you down them, they're just going to walk towards the female character in the lobby. That's what it says. When the boy falls to the ground, Tommy enchants the boy, forcing him to give the exact position of the girls. Also, if you want to make something seem more professional and go through on all ages and things like that, I would encourage you to use the words male and female or person, even if you want to use person. In this case, it is sex related. So I'll say male and female as opposed to boys and girls. Calling something boys and girls is a very bad idea, especially when you're putting that definition with being in control, influencing, hunting down, and, killing. You don't want boys and girls, which are generally terms for children. You want to use male and female. Or any type of unisex, older term. That it just prevents some of that, yeah moments. Anyway, by base, this killer can only kill females. If it's a male, he's just gonna go under the spell and go for a female for 10 seconds, and then I assume he gets back control of his character and he's back up on his feet, moving again. Oh, god damn it, I accidentally opened up Nox. Get out of here, Nox. And that's the end of the concept. So if you get this killer and you're a male, you can just might as well just stand there and take hits because she can't hook you or anything. And if you're a female character, run for your goddamn life because she's coming for you. The only power that this particular killer has is the ability to charm. So she is a basic mouse one killer that has to down a male survivor in order to get any benefit. Ain't that kind of sort of towards the weak side? There's no general information, there's no speed, there's no tear radius, there's no anything like that. So you should definitely change this to new killer idea, Tommy, or something like that instead of new killer. There's just nothing here to actually formulate an entire killer. There's no perks attached to this. There's no overview. I mean, I guess there's a description somewhat, but the way this is trying to be implemented from your mind to the game, it does not translate well. And it ends up having a bunch of additional issues. I hope I'm not about ready to expect some anybody joining in chat right now. I appreciate you stopping by. And if you are one of the guys that I've warned recently, I'm going to have to ask you not to post anything. Well, one, everything that you post is being saved to an archive on the particular Discord channel. So if you do say something racist or out of control, I will be turning that over to the proper authorities, whether that be Google, whether that be Dead by Daylight, whether that be, whatever. Even the authorities, if it is really that bad, with the logs will be sent over to that. So I ask anybody tuning in to chill out, because people ain't been chill here recently. So that is my disclaimer. Watch what you say, because everything's being recorded by Google and by me. Twice. Live stream as it comes in, and then I have a log on Discord. Very careful. New killer, Spaceman. This is the Spaceman from Scooby-Doo. Went over this. Ice Queen, we went over this. The Hyena, we went over this. Haven't seen the Curse of the Blood Run, I don't think. Okay, I see you. We've had some good runs, Ali Chips. We've had some bad runs. Let's see what we're going to go into this time. Generally, this particular creator ends up making their concepts a little bit too OP. But let's see what you got on you this time. Hydrated, ready to go. Introducing a new killer, the Pulse, and a brand new killer, AJ Mix. Pulse like Rainbow Six. Killer, the Pulse. Height, average. You got. Never mind. I'm gonna assume this is a medium height killer, because average in Dead by Daylight is tall for killer. You got tall height, you got medium height, you have short height. If you say average, I'm gonna assume trapper. Trapper is the standard. So tall killer. Speed is 5.1.4? 5.1.4 meters per second. What? What? Um, obviously, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off of a 5.1. And if this seems like it doesn't need any type of increase in speed throughout all of this, or if during this particular power, the killer gains additional speed, I'm just going to defaultly drop this down to 4.6 meters per second. Tear radius is not given, so we're going to default to 32 meters. Standard killer. The pulse is a living heart attack that specializes in painful and deadly attacks from wherever his victims may stand, featuring 3 perks. The killer is based on distance, featuring ability that varies on position. If it's a distance killer, why aren't you using the standard 4.4? Why are you using 5.1.4 instead of 4.4 like most of the other range killers? Ability, heart attack. Pull your heart out your chest, grabbing a sharp needle, pushing it into your heart, causing survivors to get a red vision close in on their screen. Okay. On survivors that are in a 35-degree cone that can reach up to 60 radius or 60 meters, 60 radius. I guess it does say 35-degree cone. I'm gonna have to translate a little bit. So any survivor in a 35-degree cone all the way up to 60 meters. While using, survivors will be highlighted, representing they are afflicted by the ability. Survivors affected will grab their chest and breathe heavier and have a 25% reduced movement speed. 25%. So they're going to be moving at 3 meters per second. Filling a heart attack meter that goes up 2% every second the longer you hold. The louder breathing gets based on meter, and movement reduction increases 2% of the meter. So if you're in the radius at the end, you go up 2% every second. But if you're closer, you go up faster, is what I got from that. This ability works through walls, but only fills meter at 1%. So if you are behind a wall, you lose 50% efficiency. Or if the survivor's behind the wall. And this is what this is saying. It's just explaining this. If you're at the edge of it, 50 plus meters, 2%. Below 50, 3%. Below 40, you get 4% a second. 5 cents a second. Below 4, 8% a second. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. What the hell? This takes 20 seconds before the survivor heart rate goes down and starts to decay by 5% every second. So once you are afflicted, you have to be out of that particular area of effect for 20 seconds, and then you lose 5% every second. So it could take up to 19 seconds or so, 19.5, to get all the way back down to 0. Initial thoughts on this? There's not enough information into the animation, what's going on, and things like that. Despite it being hard to understand, you can suss out what this person's trying to particularly say. Now, the speed definitely needs to be dropped down, actually below 4.4. 4.4 is used on range killers that still have to get, fairly close in order to get any type of work done. You've essentially created a killer that has a 60-meter attack that goes through walls and everything else. You do not need any type of inherent excess speed to run with. At bare minimum, this should be 4.6 if you want to be like a pseudo artist or anything like that. But you definitely don't need to be at no 5.1.4. So drop this to a minimum of 4.6 because your killer don't need any type of excess speed because the range of it's ridiculous. You could stand fairly far away and just leave your radius on a generator. Well, it never says anything about a slowdown, so your radius should be going at all times. You'll just run around with that particular radius out, and as you walk up the gens, you'll just have that radius on them. And as they're getting affected by it, they're going to be grabbing their chests, and they're also going to be highlighted. So what you essentially have is a 60-meter radius radar. And if you just slowly spin like a regular radar, any survivors that you hit are going to light up. So this is just a literal manual radar. You have a scanner. It's like using one of the token perks or dark sense, but it's for killer to find survivors. You don't need an increase of speed when you have a radar because you're going to know exactly where they are. Because you decrease survivors' speed by 25% when they're in your radius is why I believe that your speed should be somewhere around, 3.5, 3.8, maybe. I'd say 3.8 meters per second. But at the bare minimum, needs to be at 4.6. And that's still kind of way too fast. Because once that survivor gets in your radius, which is a 35-degree cone, 35 degrees, which is going to spread out, obviously, as it gets farther out, is going to give you a hell of a cone. If you would have said, an aisle way or a column or something like that, okay. But you said a cone. Cones start out small and then get bigger as they go out. Once a survivor enters into your perspective cone, they cannot escape. Because you're literally just going to keep your cone on them because you can see their aura at every time. So you're going to have to find a way to make it more like radar to where they ping every once in a while. Like every 5 seconds while they're in the aura, their aura is revealed, or you ping their location where they are. And make it actually like, sonar or radar to where you can't just continuously track them. Speed's way too high. There's no slowdown, there's no power charge up or anything like that. So you literally just, and then you can just walk around like that, moving at regular speed, giving survivors heart attacks. If you are within 4 meters of a particular survivor, it would take you I don't know. Let's say 12 to 13 seconds. I don't feel like doing the math on that. Let's say 13 seconds. 13 seconds to down a survivor that you are near to. When you walk up to a survivor with this ridiculous speed, they are literally going to be slowed to 3 meters per second, and they're not going to be able to get away from you. Even if you made it to where you couldn't move when you used your power, getting right next to a survivor with 5.1 meters per second, they're going to get hit by that 8. And then as they're running away for the next couple of seconds, they're going to be hit with that 5%. Well, let's just do the math. 60. Survivor running at 3 meters per second away from you, it would take them 20 seconds to get out of your tear radius if you're standing, or scan radius if you're standing right on top of them. 20 seconds. So if you do the math from a survivor staying within you, they're going to get the 8% for the first second, and then 4 seconds worth of that. So they're going to get 20 on top of that. And then they're going to get 4 ticks of this. And they're going to get 4 ticks of this. And then they're going to get 8-ish, 6 to 8 ticks of the last 2%. And that's if you don't stop and move closer to them to re-up your power. Then on top of that, they have to avoid your gaze, because you basically have an Eye of Sauron going on here now, for 20 seconds in order to start losing the decay. So, I mean, there's huge issues with this as it's implemented. But there is more. Once meter is full, activate ability Faint Blood. Faint Blood. Upon activation, once a survivor heart attack is full, you will crush your heart, causing the survivor to enter the next state, and granting the hemorrhaged, and broken status effect for 30 seconds. This will grant the pulse a bloodlust effect for 10 seconds, granting 5% haste for each survivors. What's the point in giving the pulse the bloodlust effect for 10 seconds if you're going to grant 5% haste to the survivor? That's redundant. Find out which one's higher, cancel out the effects, and give the whoever wins the positive boost of whatever it is. So your only saving grace here is that you only get 1 state of damage per 100% activation. That is your only saving grace. However, all this is going to do is enable you to tunnel a particular survivor out. So instead of having chase time and all of that going on, you're just going to literally be radaring a survivor to death. They're going to have this beam over them. They're going to be slowed to 3 meters per second, and they're not going to be able to escape this beam. And they're literally just going to run and try to stay out the farthest part of that beam until they inevitably take damage, and then repeat until they fall over. Once you are under this Eye of Sauron attack, you literally are just running around until you can't move anymore. At this point, you might as well just configure how much time you're going to have to sit and wait, and after you hit the survivor, just give them a timer till they're about to fall over, or a timer till they take damage, as opposed to happen to just hold on them and just to sit there. That's boring for the killer. Happen to just keep this beam on a survivor. And it's boring and also BS for the survivor that literally just like, yeah, I can't escape. I can't do anything about it. He's just aura reading me through this wall. There's nothing I can do. And the farther that they get to the end of your particular beam or radar or whatever you want to call it, the harder it is for them to get out of. But if they get closer to you, and you know that's going to be the meta, is literally running circles around this killer and trying to FOV tech them and things like that. The meta is going to be staying close. But if you stay close, they're just going to mouse one you. If you run away, then it's not going to matter. And that's typically what's going to happen with this particular survivor. Is your survivor killer. The killer's going to walk up to you and they're going to slap you like usual. And if you try to run, they're going to beam you and then catch directly back up to you and slap you again. It's going to be rare, unless you have some very good add-ons, it's going to be rare that somebody stays within this power radius and actually uses it to get the heart attack feature. There's no point in going for the heart attack when there's no slowdown when using your power or anything like that, and survivors are slowed down 25% speed. Oh, movement speed reduction increases the closer you are to that person, too. So 25% can actually go even up more, and you can decrease their movement rate even more. That's crazy. And I say, how do people put this down and read this and think that this is a good idea? There's obviously details missing from your head to the canvas that you posted it on. um, any way to make this standable? I guess one thing you could do, since we're talking about the Eye of Sauron, is actually make a Eye of Sauron killer who sits at the middle of a map, and you can spin all the way around, you know, woom, 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 360 degrees. Keep a fairly narrow cone. I mean, it ain't got to be ridiculously huge, but you can give it unlimited range from where you are to the edges of the map. Just kind of bring that cone length in towards the end. And just simply make it to where, you know, you don't know where gen locations are, which, I mean, if you play the game long enough, you do anyway, and make it to where you click the power button to shoot out that particular beam you're talking about. Any survivors that get caught in the beam end up taking, you know, X amount of damage wise towards the heart attack meter. And make it a game like that, to where you have a killer that's stationary but can shoot, you know, these heart attack beams across the map and essentially do what you're trying to do, except for there's no movement. Have it do a base amount, and if they're behind a wall, which most times they are going to be behind a wall, you know, the effect gets dulled. We set 50%, so we'll keep it at 50%. The base hit, if you hit a survivor within a particular beam, you can make it 25% of their attack meter, whatever. You can reduce their speed, do whatever you need to do, because you're not going to know where they are, because we're taking out the ore reading. And then the longer they stay in this particular beam that you send out, the more their heart attack meter goes out, keeping these numbers intact. And then design a system around that to where, you know, you just are a particular heart or an Eye of Sauron in this case, and you're looking around searching for survivors. And that way, as you're going and, you know, survivors are having heart attacks and things like that, you know, you'll finally get the downs you're looking for. You know, they fall over. You'll have tentacles that come out of the ground or some shit, and hold on to them, because, you know, getting the hooks ain't gonna really be a thing. You can also make it to where, you know, like shadow hands come out of the ground or some crazy shit and carry the survivor over to a hook, or a shadow man comes out of the ground or something crazy like that and picks up a survivor after, you know, like 5 seconds of being down. And you can carry them to a hook if you want to keep the ability for survivors to save and have something designed around that, or go a completely opposite way. I'm just giving a suggestion to better incorporate this beam that isn't going to have you standing right on top of a survivor, nuking them like a microwave nukes food until they eventually go down, or using the beam to slow them down as you approach them, hit them, they get a boost, you nuke them again, they're slowed down to 3 meters per second, decreasing, and then you walk over, or increasing meters per second loss, and then you slap them down again. Because that's all this is. Nuke survivor, get close to survivor, hit survivor. Nuke survivor, get close to survivor, hit survivor. This is probably one of the #1 disconnect killers. But I'm not going to harp on this anymore. Like I said, Iley Chips is known for having OP killers. That's what I was expecting before I even came into this, and that's what I got. So you stuck to your kind of creative style, and good luck to you, brother. Perks: aggressive tension. Blood now highlights if within 10-meter radius from you. Follow blood trails now grant a 10% haste boost. So you took Bloodhound and you have it, well, anytime you touch a particular blood trail, you'll get a haste boost. There either was a perk like that in public test beta at one point, or it's implemented in a game or something like that, but they have tried the give you haste when you step on blood trail or in blood puddle thing before. They have tried that. So this is kind of a blast from the past. They've already tried this. If it's in the game, then it's already implemented. If it's not, then they already elected that it's a no-no. From within, every time you down a survivor, open lockers within a 55-meter radius. Any revealed survivors there will highlight their position to the killer for a short moment. Why not? Ooh, something just flew in my nose. Why not just run Iron Maiden? You know what I'm saying? Like, Iron Maiden's literally made for that. You get the reveal and you get the exposed status effect on them. It's why you want to run, barbecue and chili and Iron Maiden together. 4 survivors in the lockers, and then expose them when they do it. So again, this perk already exists. Iron Maiden. And then Hex Above the Gods. After a survivor dies or sabotages a hook, you can rebuild it yourself. Hooking a survivor on a rebuilt hook gives them I don't understand what 25% struggle timer means. 0.7-second delay skill check timer, I get that. This persists as long as the hex is out. Rebuilt hooks are highlighted and will remain for the rest of the trial until the hex is cleansed. And what if they sabotage this rebuilt hook? If they're not resabotageable, that needs to be stated. But what if they sabotage a hook, the killer then rebuilds the hook, and then they resabotage the hook again? I don't understand what this 25% struggle timer is. It's either got to be a plus or minus. I'm assuming it's a plus, so plus 25% struggle timer. You're able to stay alive 15 seconds longer per phase. That's interesting. I would generally make it to where after a survivor is taken off of the hook, said hook breaks and resets though, instead of letting it remain for the rest of the trial. Because I mean, standard hook is standard hook is standard hook. And unless you want to change this to a scourge hook perk, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Sorry. Had to ban that particular message that was sent. Actually, let's go ahead and send that all together. Goodbye. There will be more bots, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But I mean, scourge hooks, this could literally just be changed a little bit into something like that to have essentially a basement hook as a scourge hook, which I've already done a review over a concept that's done something like this. Rebuilding a hook is interesting, I guess I should say. Maybe give it an activation. On the other side of this, give it an activation where you have to do something to actually get these hooks. And then buff this a little bit is another way that you could go. But I would personally like to see, yeah, I'll preface that, what I would personally like to see, separate from the actual professional review. Not professional, but review. What I'd personally like to see is a triggerable perk that gives you the ability to pick a particular survivor up if you get them while they're in a locker. So, for example, as somebody earlier that I went over with pointed out, people with decisive strike can jump in lockers and just force you to open the locker and take that decisive to the face. With this perk, any survivor that hops in a locker and the killer goes and successfully opens said locker, the survivor, essentially a hook spawns as the killer is hooking the survivor. So the survivor gets hooked pseudily on this other hook. It deactivates. Ooh, throat's starting to get sore. It deactivates all perks that are respectively active on a particular locker. And the carry animation, instead of it being over the killer's shoulder, the killer's holding the survivor on the end of a hook. The killer can then walk to a hook, and the animation of hooking a survivor is the killer takes their weapon, slaps the hook off of it, and then hooks this new hook in place of it. Still 1.5 seconds, just a whack, and then they hook them right over it. And this super hook has a whole bunch of advantages associated with it. So, like, borrowed time, for example, will not activate. Any type of thing that, works when you unhook a particular survivor does not activate. So if you pull them off with borrowed time, or if they have deliverance, deliverance will not activate. Sounds super OP, right? But the caveats being you have to grab a survivor from a locker. It's not going to be a hex. It's not going to be a scorch hook. It's not going to be any of that. It's just going to be active only if you grab a survivor from a locker. Now, as survivors are going into the locker, if they slowly hop into a locker as the locker is opening and things like that, the hook will be shown clearly to a survivor. If the survivor runs and fast bolts into a locker, it will not show the end or the hook being part of the locker. So you can immediately identify if the perk is active if you slowly jump into a locker, like at the beginning of the trial or something like that. Secondly, if you're in a locker for more than 20 seconds, the perk triggers to all other survivors, showing that the perk is active. The particular survivor in the locker sitting there for 20 seconds then gets, well, obviously exposed because the perk is getting exposed to the other survivors to say, watch out. But that particular survivor is also getting exposed, and they get respectively shot out of said locker after the 20 seconds. So it's tit for tat there. As they're leaving the locker, it is going to be a fast exit, so there is going to be a very, very fast notification letting the killer know. When you get kicked out of the locker, it's going to be an extremely fast. It's not going to be the survivor jumping out, and it's not going to be the whole animation. The killer is going to have to be really conscious about what's going on and things like that in order to see this notification. It's going to be very fast, like 50% of the speed of a regular, survivor jumping out of the locker. It's going to be fast. The notification's going to be fast. The killer would get notified, though, that their hex is active. In exchange for that, though, anytime a survivor's in a locker, the respective hex icon will flash, or it will light up, showing that the perk is active. The survivor is in a locker with a hook in it. And a whole bunch of other balancing things. I don't know, I'm thinking of these off the top of my ass. And trying to balance a perk that I'm not going to ever be able to balance because I don't remember half the shit that I just said. Something along those lines. It's nothing to do with this particular hex, but that's just something I would like to see is something, that has layers and layers of goodness on it. You're not going to activate it but once 100 matches, but when you do activate it, it's going to give you such an advantage and be so, OP that it's going to be worthwhile. And you can stack effects and rebalance it and do it, as you please with it, but that's just the base of something I would like to see. I think it would be unique and it would be awesome for if somebody has head-on rush and you're chasing them as a killer and they run and they jump in a locker in front of you, why a killer would ever be scared of going after that. I would take my weapon and I would just shove it through the goddamn locker, cutting the survivor in half. Killers shouldn't be bullied. Oh, he jumped in a goddamn locker. I'm terrified now. Forget all that. Knock that some bitch down and keep going. You know what I'm saying? So a perk for anti trap setters, I guess is what I'm going to say. I would like that to be a thing. If they have like flashbang or something like that ready, it gets rid of it. Oop, gone. Not even drops items. It completely eats items when you're up on this magical super hook. Just have it do a whole bunch of unique things until you can balance it to be, amazing. If you need to do or need to be. How to play. Best way to use your ability is to get closer, waiting till the meter is almost full and injuring a survivor Hitting them using the faint blood gives you a guaranteed down. Your ability is a cone to people in front of you, though you can use it through walls, knowing where your targets are. Make it easier. Grouped up survivors are your best friend. The more targets to hit, the faster your bloodlust goes, allowing you to get closer to prepare your heart attack. That is the way that you would specifically want your killer to be played. You've set a basis for that, but you didn't design your killer to be played that way. While having an excess of speed of, what was it, 5.1.4 or something like that? Yeah, 5.1.4 meters per second, which I still don't get that. Or is that supposed to be 5.1 dash to 4 meters per second? I don't know. I'm going to run this as 5.4 or 5.1. Best way to use your ability is to get closer till the meter is almost full, injuring a survivor, hitting them using the faint blood. I'm going to tell you, the meta way people are going to play this. They're going to always have their ore out. As soon as they hit on a survivor, they're going to keep them slowed till they get to them, and then they're going to slap the ever-living crap out of them. As soon as they run away, they're going to hit them with the ability again. And if the meter's ready, they're going to go ahead and activate it. If it's not, they're just going to mouse one them again. You have no tear radius set, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people just cut out the middleman and just walk to a generator, and as soon as the survivor shows themselves, hit them with it then. You know, hit them with that go juice then. You can also use this particular 60-meter radar to check generators around you. As you're walking in, and put your little beam or your little radar scan on every generator till a survivor lights up. And then afterwards, you're just move towards them with your beam on them. You walk in, you mouse one them. If it ain't full, you hit them with the beam again. You get close to them, you mouse one them. You're going to get over a 2 meters per second gain on them per second, which makes your killer way too goddamn OP, son. Your killer's power isn't made to supplement your killer. Your killer's power is made to end games extremely early. Your killer's made for super tunneling. And the thing about it is, if you down a survivor, you can just keep your beam going and you have a 60-meter scan that you can look left or right to left or right to see any survivor going for this particular rescue 60 meters away. With your enhanced speed, as they try to get any type of closer, you just walk over there and then you slap the hell out of them. Same with hook wise. You can just stand out a little bit and just have this scan going the entire time. And any survivor that you manage to swoop going for that unhook, you're just going to walk over there and you're going to grab them as they go for the unhook, or you're going to chase them away or anything like that. You have a 60-meter radius and a pretty hell of an end cone that's going to be huge to let you know when a survivor's going anywhere near that hook survivor. So, I mean, tunnel plays and camping plays, this killer is all about. In most cases, you're even worse than a basement camping Bubba, is you have this radar that goes 60 meters away from wherever basement location is. So you can just sit there and turn. And if you hit a survivor in that particular time, you're getting percentages down on them. And if you elect to follow through to fill up that gauge, you don't have to go too dang far. You just have to be within 60 meters. and hold that. And I don't think you understand how far 60 meters is when you threw that out there. An easy way to check is if you have potential issues is to specifically, how I say, put an overview, how you want your killer to be played, and then have somebody else read through and ask them how do you think they'd play that killer. And if your two methods of play don't line up anywhere near, then there's discretions. Now our play styles lined up pretty close. So you're on the right track with this design. Combining the excuse me, the radar power and the hits together to get almost instantaneous downs. So the way we would play the characters are similar. So you are on the right track on getting, your particular killer balanced, but you need to put in a lot more work in order to tone it down and get it, perfect. Well, you're never going to get it perfect, but decent. Survivor. Um, no hope. Hiding in a locker for 20 seconds. Well, that's funny because that's actually hilarious. Oh my god. Hiding in lockers for 20 seconds will remove any negative status unless they persist. Oh, so no mither doesn't do anything. Gotcha. And increase healing speed by 35% after exiting for 25 seconds. This does not count for effects such as broken from plague or clowns. Yeah. No mither, broken from plague, things like that. Gotcha. It only takes 16 seconds to heal. Why are you needing this healing speed increase over 25 seconds? 25 seconds is a weird number to throw that in. You also remove any negative statuses from that. That includes the deep wound status effect and anything else associated with that. Does not remove NOAD because it is persistent, so it will not interact with that. So this 35% healing speed, and if all the things that you could have added in after being in a locker, why healing speed? There are so many boons and perks and everything that target healing speed. That's very, very just kind of a meh type of thing to go through because the amount of things you're competing against is going to knock you out most times when it comes to healing things. With this perk, you're dropping down self care time quite a bit. 25% healing speed is a fourth of self care. So you would take 8 seconds off of it, dropping it down to 26 seconds. Another 10 off that's 3.2 seconds. So you're looking at 22.8 seconds. 22.8 seconds to self care, which makes self care worthwhile if you mix it with this particular perk. However, self care is kind of becoming obsolete nowadays. I mean, yeah, you still use it for, the healing efficiency and all of that. So I guess that on top of that, you know. But there's other perks. Healing speed increases or stacks with so many other perks, like desperate measures, 15% per injured or dying survivor. 15% plus this 35 gets you all the way up to a 50% heal rate. You hop in a locker, you hop back out. Your self-care only takes 16 seconds now. Your med kits only take 8 seconds. You know what I'm saying? You don't need this big of a healing thing. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have people running this with all of the other healing buffs and things like that, and they're going to have almost instantaneous heals on people. It's going to be ridiculous. Now think about that in a gank squad and times this perk by 4 seconds. Or by 4 times, not 4 seconds, 4 times. Yes, they're going to lose a gen's worth of progress, but you know, if every survivor on the field is injured and they all hop in the lockers and then reconvene, because Kill Shack is going to be one of those places. Kill Shack, well, not, well, Kill Shack will give you 2, but more importantly, basement, I should say. Basement in whatever building, whether it's Kill Shack or main building, whatever that's in. That area right there has plenty of lockers for everybody to shove into. The plagues area on the bottom where they have like the 6 or 8 lockers stacked, plus the lockers that are around that area, allows survivors to stack in. There's lots of areas where survivors can keep getting those boosts. And they could potentially keep healing forever, especially if they run head-on rush with everything else. So removing negative status effect is way than enough power and juice, because negative includes the exhaustion status effect. I can dead hard or use any type of, you know, amazing effect, jump in a locker for 20 seconds, get out, and then use it again. That's extremely helpful. That's all you need there, brother. You don't need to increase heal speed and do all of this other stuff. You already got a strong enough effect of getting rid of negative status effects. Legion would rage quit once they notice you have this particular thing. I'm joking, by the way. If you thought I was serious when I said that, shame on you. And if you're mad and saying, no, they won't, shame on you. It's a joke. It's a joke. Calm down. It only takes a couple of seconds to mend, you know, right about the same amount of time it takes to heal. Well, it's about half. Yeah, about 3/4. But it's right about the same amount of time. Why would you sit in a locker for 20 seconds to get rid of a deep wound status effect that you could heal faster than? You know what I'm saying? It's a joke. And if I hadn't said that it was a joke, I would have somebody already at the end of, this is an hour and 15 minutes, so it'll probably be about a 2-hour stream. I have somebody at the end go, well, at 1 hour and 18 minutes and 30 seconds, you said this. This isn't true because this is that. And it just makes me say, were you stupid or were you just brought up that way? Obviously, I was making a joke there. I literally just went over healing times and all of that. You think I would turn around and make the mistake of saying sitting in a locker for 20 seconds is more worthwhile than mending? And that's the type of things that annoy me because somebody would. It's like, are you just that stupid? Or did you just miss everything that's in front of you? And then when I insult them, they want to go, well, you were wrong about this and that and all another. And, you know, 3 weeks back on this post, you were wrong about that and all of this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, and if you would have just shut your goddamn mouth and not commented on every little small thing that you've seen, you wouldn't be in this situation, now would we? You bring yourself into these situations. Shut up. Enjoy the content and just enjoy the show. You don't want to enjoy the show? There's the door, son. Please let the door hit you on the ass on the way out, because you need a little bit of punishment. Every rose has a thorn. Being near a survivor will grant a 25%, I guess, speed boost in cooperative actions. This does not stack. Survivors that heal you or you heal them now goes by an additional 3% every 2 seconds of healing. Being near the killer grants both of you the oblivious status effect. Why do people throw the oblivious status effect out in places where it does not matter? Nobody can really use aura reading that great nowadays, and they just throw oblivious status effect on everything. This whole situation is no. Do you realize that if you're increasing generator speed by an additional 25%, you lose only 0.1% efficiency when two people work on a generator, aka it takes 44 seconds. Now let's take a fourth of that time, being 20 seconds, off of it because you're doing gens 25% faster. Generators are going to be getting done at about 25 seconds with two survivors working on things. Well, no, because you would do the 25% off of the 44. So it'll only be 11% or 11 seconds faster. So the same as two or three survivors being on it. But still, knocking gens out at 33%, there is diminishing returns. 33 seconds. Jesus Christ. Is still kind of ridiculous. There's already Dwight's perks and things that do things like this. Leave it at that. You shouldn't have to put this does not stack because there's other perks that do the same goddamn thing. If you have to put this does not stack into something, maybe think about the whole structure of your perk. Maybe think about the values in your perk. Maybe think about other things. You saying this does not stack like this, sentence structure wise, just like this means that it doesn't stack with itself. But this does mean that it stacks with all of Dwight's perks. So putting that like that still ain't necessarily the right way to do that. You want to isolate this, put this at the bottom, and then write out, the extra facts and things like that. Opening a chest gives a book, a special item only available with this perk. Using the book, begins to read it for 15 seconds. After finishing, the item is depleted, reduces all breathing and grunts by 50%, and increases all haste status effect by 50% for 50 seconds. Why did you gotta be so OP in everything that you do, sir? So for 15 minutes of your, or 15 minutes, for 15 seconds of your time, which is less than it takes to heal, you're going to get all of your breathing, grunts of pain, and all of that reduced by 50%, which is essentially the same thing No Milers does, by the way. And you have to be broken for that particular areas of status effects. Then you're increasing all haste effects by 50% for 50 seconds. It's generally just going to be one activation of sprint burst or smash hit or whatever, live, whatever perk you have associated with that. It's only one activation, but an extra 50% speed on that is ridiculous. Overcome Getting an extra 50% speed on that? It's ridiculous. Only for 15 seconds worth of reading. Nah, bro. Nah. To get a health state back, it takes 16 seconds, and getting health states more important than your book. So why should your book only take 15 seconds? Maybe if you would have said like 32 seconds, the equivalent of self care, where people actually get mad at you for sitting there reading a book instead of putting that time towards gins. Maybe because you're giving up almost half of a gin to get these effects. Maybe we can talk about it. 16 seconds or 15 seconds. Nah, brother. It's too low. Let's see. I made a Dead by Daylight gameplay trailer for my latest school project. I just hope by school project you meant college or university project and not actual like grade school, high school. Because if you did, and your teacher didn't immediately call your parents and say there's something fucking wrong with your child, there's an issue. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I have not seen anything on the new Dying Light, so I am spoiler free as of now. I mean, I'm not intentionally trying to be. I just ain't been that generally interested in it. But I am going to skip this. Good job, I suppose. I don't know what it looks like, but I assume it's at least decent. War veteran or PTSD. Again, probably want to delete your stuff or at least rename it something else. I don't appreciate, and there's a lot of other veterans who either just don't give a shit or really aren't gonna appreciate you're going after war veterans with PTSD and things like that. A war veteran with PTSD isn't gonna go around killing shit and doing all kinds of that craziness. People don't even understand what PTSD does to people. You shouldn't be using people's mental health to essentially twist that and make them into killers and things like that. There's already a whole bunch of negative stigma that comes from PTSD and being a veteran and things like that. Drop that shit. Change your concept. Jesus Christ. Went over this. Um, okay. We have Blur Witch. Didn't I go over this? Then no. Seems familiar. I guess not. So next time we're gonna go over all of this stuff essentially. I have a little bit of leeway in what I can and can't do, and the short amount of upcoming days, but that's not too terrible. So it's an hour and a half. I went over the majority of what I wanted to come to. If you haven't heard me sniffling and clearing my throat like I've been doing a whole lot more than usual here recently, because I'm still a little bit sick and I got a runny nose. Something's flew into my nose. My throat's starting to get sore, etc., etc. I still ain't fully recovered, but I figured I'd put something out with the little bit of time that I have. Now, before anybody comments or sends me a message or saying, hey, Q, you need to chill with the insults and everything, you know, you're a good guy and all, but you're being kind of harsh and all this other stuff. Yes, I am being over the top a little bit harsh, but you're not understanding why I'm being harsh. People that do something, you know, one time, maybe two times, I generally try to ignore or anything like that. But when it comes down to people repeatedly doing things which I've asked them not to, time and time and time again, it's getting to the point the where I am getting irritated and I'm tired of seeing it. I'm trying to be lenient and not trying to just downright ban people for essentially shit talking. But it's getting extremely annoying anytime I check and I'm like, oh, well, somebody wants me to review something for them, opening it up and having 5 or 6 unread message of, hey, you suck, good nerd. Good nerd. Oh, also on these 15 different timestamps, you were completely fucking wrong. You're an idiot. Ha ha ha. And all of that. I understand that's the Gen Z way of doing things and the insults and all of that's how they kind of get friendly and get to know each other. Heck, I've made the majority of my friends through fist fights and illegal actions and things like that. I understand. The thing is, I'm too old for that shit. I'm not gonna sit there having this insulting game back and forth and all of that. I'm going to cut you off. You're done. You're going to be done with this channel. Done with me. I don't care how much you like me. You keep pushing my buttons, I'll send you packing and on your way. Keep that in mind. Now, from this, I'm going to try to go forward since I've sent out all the warnings I possibly can. By the way, this is all of you. If I've said your name throughout the last couple of days, this is your final warning. Or if I insinuated you, this is your final warning. The next time you do that stuff, he was going to send you. You ain't in a good mood. He's been sick as a dog. He's been extremely cold. Uh, he's been extremely sick. And when it gets winter out, mental health problems and things like that are also on a rise. You ain't happy right now. Stop poking the bear. The bear will claw you. And the bear won't feel bad and unblock you later. Once you're blocked, you're blocked. You're done. I ain't gonna unblock you. You're gone. You're done, son. When you're done, you're done. So back off. Give me some breathing room. Let me recover from being sick, and then you can probably try and poke the bear or tickle the bear or do whatever you want to do, you know, tickle the pickle. Till then, back off. Aight? I appreciate you guys from stopping by, but goddamn, chill out. Aight? Till then, continue to supplement your lifestyle and try to be kinder to people, because Jesus Christ, if you're half, if you're halfway brutal while trying to show kindness to people that you like, I'd hate to be somebody that you just absolutely can't stand. How critical and how hateful you're towards them. This gets ridiculous. It's one of the reasons why I don't want to become a popular YouTuber, because I'd be one of those guys that never communicates with the community outside of streaming. Could never read comments because they're just going to be full of, you know, memes, shit posters, angry people, people that generally get on every day and are like, you did a good job today. Good video. Keep up the good work, man. And it's like, thanks for the 4,867 time. You know, I appreciate you showing support and being there every day, but, you know, can we eat something besides eggs in the morning? You know what I'm saying? And then every day, the same streamers and things like that and content posters don't even really have to go and look through comments anymore because they know what particular people under particular names are going to say. If you see somebody's name that generally supports you, you heart their comment. Heart this comment, heart that comment. Some creators that say, I look and I read every single comment. They literally just open up the comments page an hour after the video post and they heart every comment that's sent that first hour. Then they close that shit and go on with their day. Others actually take the time and look at comments, but I mean, those are generally the people with, a couple 100,000, reviews, subscribers, and can keep up with that type of workload, an afternoon in the bathroom or something, or while you're doing something else on the side, look at comments every once in a while. Becomes like a very nice hobby that you can do. Then once you get, higher, 400,000, 500,000 to a couple of million, you can't keep up with everybody. It's not going to happen. And there comes a point in every single content creator's life where they go to the point to where they're like, I can't keep up with this shit. So they set a limit, after the first hour of the moon or the video, I'm going to refresh the page, look at whatever comments, heart whatever I need to heart, and then I'm out, bro. I'm out. And if you ain't an OG or if you're working or something like that, during where the video's posted, which is usually posted on a schedule, you will probably never have your comment read. And that's sad. Unless something changes in the streamer. It's very sad to think about that. Schedules being different. But it is what it is. And you gotta think, if you're on somebody's video saying, the same thing every day, good job, keep up the good work, and you post the same couple of lines, good job, keep up the good work, good job, keep up the good work, every single day, they're gonna get some affinity for you because you've been there every day posting, but the affinity's not going to be gained as high. There's gonna be diminishing returns. So maybe change up what you say to them next time. Or instead of saying, good job, all of that, how's about you give them, some happy criticism, hey, good luck, good job. I especially liked how so and so and so and so did this or this or that. Or if you notice something different, I'm enjoying the new transition screen or something like that. And you give them something, more positive feedback as opposed to saying, I love your streams, keep up the good work all the time. Trust me, you'll get a lot more positive feelings from somebody than saying, good job, keep up the good work every time. A lot more positive if you switch it up. I don't know. There's nothing to it but to do it. GA, Persona 4. Anyway, I'm out. I'm out of water and my throat can't go on. Giggity. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate all of you, but you gotta lay off you for a little bit. You're sick as a dog and not feeling well. Alright? Agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Anybody that wants me to go over any particular concept, post it in the Discord or post it in your actual concept towards the bottom or something. Or anything like that to let me know. I will star your particular concept and I will get to it whenever I am feeling oh, at least 70-80% or above. Alright. For the last time, I'm Q. As always, supplement your lifestyle, and I'll see you next time.